Hello, and welcome to the Bot Nirvana podcast, where we dive into all things digital automation. I'm your host, Nandan Mullakara. While I'm not podcasting, I help people keep up with the fast-changing digital technologies at botnirvana.org. I hope you enjoy the show. Let's get right into it. We have Sarah Burnet on the show today. Sarah is a distinguished industry analyst advising enterprises on automation technologies, sourcing, and market trends. She is a frequent speaker and active blogger and is named in Computer Weekly's Most Influential Women in Technology Hall of Fame. In this chat, we talk about the impact of AI on automation, process mining, task mining, and what KYP AI calls productivity mining. We also discuss some emerging use cases with generative AI and automation. Let's listen in. Hi, Sarah. Welcome to the Bot Nirvana podcast. You're such a thought leader in this space. I've been hearing from you a lot. So I know listeners know about you, but just for people who don't know, can you give a quick intro?
Hello, Nandan. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm absolutely delighted to be here talking to you today. I'm an intelligent automation industry analyst and chief technology evangelist at KYP AI. I'm also the author of the book, The Autonomous Enterprise Powered by AI, which was published last year by the British Institute for IT.
Awesome. I forgot about your book, so thank you for mentioning that. And so you've been in this space for so long, a thought leader. I think you've seen intelligent automation evolve over a period of time. So what's the inherent value of intelligent automation?
Well, I think fundamentally the value is in scaling and speeding up straight through processing. And that, of course, then leads to reduced costs. So increases efficiency and reduces costs. But there's a lot more to the value that it can generate for organizations. And one aspect that I think we could all focus a bit more on is the human angle, being able to empower employees to do their work faster and better. Makes for happier employees. When they're happier, not only do they achieve the outcomes that are expected of them, but they also get that sense of achievement. And given that even today with the downturn in the economy, there is a shortage of skills, particularly in shared services. And so, why not look after your employees, empower them with tools, intelligent automation tools, and improve their job satisfaction, their retention and engagement at work.
Yeah. And so the book that you're mentioning about an autonomous enterprise. So we're talking about freeing up people, right? And so I think one of the key things we're already seeing that the workforce is shrinking. We really need help in terms of carrying out tasks that we were doing. And especially the newer generations, like my kids who are coming in now, they don't like to do all this repetitive work. So I think it would be mandatory or something we would really need that we need to take out this repetitive work from the enterprises. So carrying on forward on that theme, so how have you seen this intelligent automation landscape or environment evolve, and how do you think that's going to evolve?
Well, I think there was initially a lot of focus on robotic process automation. That was like the hot thing a few years ago. The landscape has sort of widened, so to speak, and many other tools are now being used, including chatbots. I mean, just look at the huge difference that ChatGPT has made to many organizations and many individuals using it as a productivity tool, as well as, of course, intelligent document processing, general conversational AI, etc. So I think the focus is shifting from that sort of heavily robotic process automation focus that we had a few years ago to the wider capabilities. And I think the augmentation of humans is going to be the major trend, because, straight through processing will happen anyway. But, we have seen that people want tools that help them. They don't want to do those repetitive tasks that you mentioned in your question. And also they want help with what they're doing. And, the kind of things that we can do today, we couldn't do even just a few years ago, like better online guidance for employees, the number of contact center staff who, need information at their fingertips so that they can do things better and faster and quicker. Those kinds of tools, I think, will become more important than some of the previous kind of trends that we have seen, the tools for the kind of tool trends that we have seen. So it's all about augmentation, so it's not about partial automation, something that we used to talk about before, or assisted automation. It's about augmentation.
Yeah, and I see that spectrum of things coming in, right, between augmentation to autonomous. So we, as you say, autonomous is going to be there, the straight through processing is going to be there, but which we'll also see in a lot of augmentation, it looks like, with the chatbots and the co-pilots, especially the co-pilots that's coming up everywhere now. So I think it's going to be a spectrum between augmentation and an autonomous enterprise. And like you say, the tool landscape or the technology landscape has widened so much. Now we have much more technologies out there. We started with RPA, but we now have, like you say, the recent edition of LLMs, but we've also had technologies like conversational AI and also process mining, process intelligence, process task mining, and things like that, which is helping you understand the processes, whether it is, becoming a more autonomous enterprise or whether you're becoming a more augmented enterprise. So what do you think? How do you think these tools, the process discovery tools, and I'm saying so many terms there, but process discovery.
Well, I can distinguish for you between the terms.
Okay,
I think it's really important because they are confusing.
Yeah,
so there's process mining, which is typically based on logs generated by ERP solutions.
Right.
So it looks at those logs and then recreates the processes virtually. But we also all know that on average, employees spend no more than about 30% of their time in ERP solutions. So they tend to be quite limited in their scope. Then you get task mining, which is capturing data from the employees' desktops. And the problem with task mining solutions to date have been that they can only do that for a very limited number of people, limited number of desktops. So you don't get that kind of enterprise-wide, visibility that you might seek. So this is why at KYP AI, we talk about productivity mining or productivity 360, because firstly, we are able to capture information from thousands of desktops. So we can literally do that at scale. And it's all about the interactions between people, processes, and technology. So all those three dimensions we can produce insights on. And if you have that kind of and have that at industrialized levels, at a very granular level, then you can make informed decisions, which you weren't able to do previously. You had to go by gut feel. So you've harvested the low-hanging fruit by automating the things that are very clearly needing automation. Those were the easy things to do. Then it comes to, well, what do we do next? With insights from the process intelligence that we provide, you can actually make informed decisions. You can actually say, okay, so this bit here is ridiculously convoluted and we need to simplify it. There are shift works here that are badly planned and we're leaving capacity free in this team while this other team is totally stretched. Or that this technology is performing suboptimally. There is too much network latency. This application isn't responding. People are having to wait. We have seen cases of where people are having to wait for 30 minutes to get a response from an application, and that's completely unacceptable. So that's why I say productivity 360. You can see the people dimension, like the shift works, the work allocations and how much time it takes to do things. Then you can see what the process is doing, whether it's ridiculously convoluted, it's full of bottlenecks, and also whether the technology that's supposed to be supporting those processes and the people are up to scratch, if they're actually performing. So the reason I actually joined KYP AI was because when I wrote my book, I realized that data was going to be fundamental to the autonomous enterprise. it was through data that they could become autonomous. And it is through data that they also spot opportunities for innovation, improvements, and so on. So here we are. So here I am talking to you as the Chief Technology Evangelist.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, I'm also an evangelist of this process intelligence space, if you will, because, yeah, like you mentioned, process mining, task mining, there's been an evolution, and especially with AI and ability to decipher a lot of data from multiple computers. It's mind-boggling what we can do to decipher or understand the processes, which I wish I had when I was implementing automation, like 6-7 years back. When we would started doing automation, we would actually go to a subject matter analyst in that space, or a process expert, and ask the person, and they will tell you what it is. We'll come back and do the automation, and then we go back and show them, and they'll say, you missed that, you missed this. So
yeah, and that is exactly what I mean. That's you're going by the feeling of that person, whereas behind the scenes there may be other issues. So if you've got a slow computer system, it might be that people think, oh, it's the application that's at fault, but actually it might be network latency. And then you create a robot to automate that process, and you just bombard it with even more demand. So it comes to a halt. So it's really important to find the right causes of issues and address them. And so hence my approach, which is to do it empirically, going by data.
Yeah. And also, it's just one person that we are talking to, whereas multiple people are doing it differently, and some people are probably doing it much more efficiently. And so there's so many ways things can be done. And with data, as you say, it becomes much more easier, or much more predictable in terms of what processes we are automating. And not only that, I think we can also start monitoring these things, right? Once you automate, you can start monitoring it and seeing how to continuously improve and evolve this, right?
Absolutely. So you can see whether the changes that you've made are delivering results, or whether something else needs improving. You can also then measure before and after, and then be on the lookout for continuous improvement opportunities as well. So, really incredible amount of insight that we never had before. So, we are very lucky to be now able to tap data like this.
And companies like KYP and others in the field is creating that data, so that it's basically capturing what work is being done in each enterprise, so that we can use it for much more. It's not just automation, it can be used much more as we bring in LLMs and the new powerful AI into the organization. I think this capability could help a lot in terms of making the organizations more efficient and more robust, right? So as this LLMs come into this organization, how do you think that's raising the bar for productivity within intelligent automation?
Well, I'm seeing some really interesting developments. First of all, we can automate things that we couldn't automate before, things like content creation. So creative processes have come into the scope of automation now. And we all know how people are using it, whether it's to answer questions for their homework, students, and so on, or people creating content for websites, actually creating websites. It's just phenomenal what is going on. But it's not just that. What I'm seeing is that intelligent automation vendors are making their products better. So not only can you automate more things, more tasks, you can also improve the intelligent automation solutions. So the kind of features that I'm seeing added include searches, automatic translation, and summarization. They're being added to intelligent automation solutions that would benefit from that kind of thing. I'm also being told by some vendors that it's actually reducing the amount of training that the intelligence solution requires, but that's something I'm going to understand a bit more. I can talk before I talk about it too much.
Okay. Okay. No, it's great that you talk about summarization and the creation, generation, because I think those are some of the things with, especially with this LLM models, which is text-based model. Those are some of the capabilities that even I see coming in. Like you can automate writing an email, for example, right? And then a person in the loop can check whether the email is right, but you can at least generate the first draft of the thing, or you can summarize something for executive. They'll get so many reports, you can get a morning briefing. So and this like that we have identified some key areas where LLMs are being applied. So having seen through this, do you have any compelling use cases that you can share with us, with our listeners on productivity 360, right? Yeah.
Yes, certainly. Well, as we are on the subject of LLMs, maybe I could just mention a small case study which has highlighted phenomenal results from using ChatGPT. And this is about a pharma team of 13 people that have decided to spend about half an hour a day, a week, I think, half an hour a week to use ChatGPT to fill in pricing templates.
Okay.
And as a result, they're gaining something incredibly high, something like 50 hours of manual effort saved a week. And their equivalent team of the same number of people doing the same job, but in a different team that's continuing to do everything manually, is now way behind in terms of productivity. So 50 hours a week is a really significant saving. And it's sort of been measured by the platform, by KYP AI. Another one is a much bigger case study. This is a global freight and forwarding company, a logistics company that has invested in KYP AI for its shared services business in some part of the freight organization. And they have 5 centers around the globe, dotted around the globe. They have something like over 600 different services that they deliver. They've got over 4,000 FTEs. And because they've invested heavily in robotic automation as well, they have something like 500 virtual FTEs, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And to maintain a competitive edge, they need to make sure that they're pricing things well. And one of the key performance indicators for them was the cases that have been processed, they've been put through. So they deployed KYP.ai, and because of their large robot landscape, they also combined it with some kind of orchestration platform from another vendor. And they're able to get huge insights on this global capability, so they can actually measure the time spent processing each of these cases, and then accurately, their pricing has basically improved significantly. And at the same time, they've deployed this NASA-like console of operations, live operations powered by KYP.ai, and they're able to see their processes at granular level while also really doing it at such a large scale. And that's resulted in a lot of simplification of processes, more automation. And overall, I think they're talking something like more than 5% savings achieved so far. But, I expect that will build up and they will get a lot more. But they've also been able, I talked about the human angle. They've been able to improve their management of their resources and allocation of resources better as well.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And I like the NASA like dashboard because
yeah, I love it too. The pictures are great. Yeah.
paints a great picture. So we also, when we were implementing automation, we used to focus on dashboards because that gives people a visual in terms of what's actually happening out there, right? So one thing we did talk about process complexity and how that impacts intelligent automation, and that's a big one. I say that's the biggest one. But we also, I think, with KYP, you can also get to see the people aspect and technology aspect, right? So what do you think are some challenges in that area that is getting solved because they can see people, process, and technology together?
Well, I think you need to understand what the solution is telling you. So in some cases, we give the direct recommendation for automation, where there are clear cases for automation and also make recommendations for the type of solution to be used, including ChatGPT. So, very sort of up to date as far as tools go. Otherwise, you do have to interpret the data and decide, how to fix things. And importantly, you can get that 360-degree view. So, you can see and make a decision about what to do first, which bit to improve first, and, prioritize things as well. I don't know if I've answered your question. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, to a good extent. So, so the 360-degree view, whether it is people, process, or technology, I think is a great capability coming in, right? Because especially with this explosive technologies or exponential technologies that's going to come in, we need some help in terms of, okay, these are my processes, and the processes are getting ever complex. The technologies are getting ever complex, right? And then there's the people element, and like we mentioned earlier, the people element is where there's a decrease in the workforce actually, and then people not wanting to do the mundane work that we were doing earlier. So we have this, what do you call, these conditions coming together, and so I'm looking for a term but I'm not getting it. but all this,
I can help you with that, absolutely. So basically, I don't know if you've heard of the concept of flow, which is when people get into flow, productivity goes up significantly, because first of all, they've got the right mix of challenging, interesting, enjoyable combination of tasks to do. And basically what we are hoping to do is help companies see that. And it's not difficult from our data to see that. So you can see that, some teams are working really long hours, they're really stretched, they have hardly any free time at all, any breaks during the day. Some are working long hours into the evening, other teams not so, because they've got more capacity, or the demand for their work isn't as high. So you can make, you can reallocate people, and you can manage, what I said about allocation of resources and capabilities better. And so, you can make life easier, so people aren't stressed because they're so stretched that they can't take a break, right, and are working long hours, and, help them get into flow. And then you get massive uplift in productivity.
Yeah, and so the word I was looking for is perfect storm.
Oh, right.
The perfect storm of exponential technologies, complex processes, as well as dwindling people availability, resource availability, so which we have to use everything in the right manner. And so such tools like what you're providing, I think helps the organizations in deciding what's the right technologies to use, what is the right ways to organize a team, ways to automate, ways to optimize a process. So I think that this productivity 360, or whatever we may call it, is a very efficient tool in the right time and the right place. So let's look ahead right now. So we've been talking about what's happening right now. So but as we look ahead, what do you see as the future? I know it's so difficult even today, like every month there is a big change coming, so it's very difficult to look in the looking glass and say what's going to happen. But from where we are right now, where do you think we will evolve in terms of not just automation, but this whole perfect storm of this all technologies coming together, which is AI and the whole hyper automation that we are talking about, including the process intelligence and the RPA and things like that, and how do they all come together, and how do you see that changing the enterprise landscape?
Well, I think that's literally the subject of my book, which is the autonomous enterprise. It's sort of,
go read the book, right?
Yeah, we're steadily moving towards the autonomous enterprise. And what I mean by that is not that there won't be any humans in the enterprise. I don't mean that at all, because all these automations, the AI, anything that you've got that is intelligent and is automating processes will need monitoring and managing. So it's not like there are going to be no humans in the enterprise, but we'll do away with those repetitive tasks that people don't like doing. And as you said, the younger generation don't want to be stuck in an office and doing repetitive data entry type work. But we will also have huge new opportunities, because by using more technology, we're getting more data, and the data, if we analyze it and look at it, will bring us new opportunities. So you can throw a load of data at an algorithm and see what new product opportunities there are, what new service opportunities there are, what are people, your customers, responding to, what they're not responding to. So I think it's a really exciting time, and we shouldn't get stressed about it, but we should actually look at the ways that we can take advantage of this fabulous range of technologies that are coming in, and get ahead of competitors. If we don't do it, others will. I mean, we've seen how new companies have emerged that are entirely electronic and online and automated, and they will soon overtake others. And often in very crowded markets, you think there are no opportunities, but there always are opportunities.
True. And the digital first companies, as you say, is probably the future, right? And so probably I keep saying this, will we lose jobs? Yes, we will, and we will have digital first companies. But as you say rightly, we will have so many new jobs, an explosion of new jobs with this availability of data, availability of these technologies, that we don't even know which jobs are going to come up, and probably there will be much more opportunities as we go. So
one area that I would like to mention is the combining, the coming together of digital and physical, because we're going to be able to control physical objects remotely much better. And so there's a whole load of opportunities in that space, just from caring for the elderly to farming and all kinds of other things. It's going to be massive.
Yeah, it's going to be massive. And yeah, that's an interesting term. I'd not heard that before, phygital. So yeah, there's a whole phygital arena. And also I think there's a pure digital area also coming up, because we've been living in physical world. We've now been going to a phygital world. And then I think there will be completely new worlds. I mean, if Meta or the metaverse is going to come in, and then we got to completely build this virtual worlds out there, and then you would need probably much more people to build virtual worlds. So I don't know, but that's one of the other things that I'm excited about. So Sarah, before we go, this was an awesome talk. Thank you so much. Before we go, where can people find and connect with you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm also on Twitter as Sarah Burnet. So please message me if you have any questions, or just reach out to me. I do blog. I write a lot of blogs, and you can leave comments for me on the KYP AI blog site as well.
Great. And I'll leave a link to your LinkedIn and Twitter, as well as a link to your book, Autonomous Enterprise, so that people can check that out as well. Sarah, thank you so much. This was an interesting chat.
Thank you very much. Super to talk to you.
Thank you for joining the Bot Nirvana podcast. Appreciate if you can leave a review on iTunes or wherever you're consuming your podcast. Catch the show notes on botnirvana.org. While you are there, feel free to explore more free digital automation resources and more. See you next time.